noise up there makes me feel sick. Suppose you are knocked out. We won't have to bear this hell anymore.
I thought Journey's End was a really remarkable film. What kind of concern was it that 1918, perhaps the time period that this deals with, wasn't so well known to audiences? I mean, how far did that play into your thinking?
Well, it played quite a long way into our thinking in that in 1928-29, when the play first came out, only 10 years after the war, people would have opened their programme arriving to see Journey's End and have seen the dates 18th of March to the 21st of March 1918, and they would have gone, oh my God, it's Operation Michael, it's Kaiserschlacht, these are dead men walking.
We won't last 5 minutes if the Germans attack.
You'll just stay where you are for as long as you can.
When's it expected?
Day after tomorrow.
That part of British history in World War I has slightly been lost. You know, the second heaviest loss of life in a single day after the Somme. So it was very important for us to shine a light on 1918. Everyone thinks that the war was beginning to run down, but in fact, of course, the Germans knew that they had one last chance, and it's such an important part of history which has been forgotten. It also happens, of course, that Sherriff's own regiment, the Surreys, was involved at that time. So from a historical perspective, it all tied in quite nicely.
Our company commander, you know him?
Hello, Stanner.
You'll find him changed. He's led this company through all sorts of rotten times. Big strain on the man.
Without fantastic characterisation and without you absolutely caring deeply for the characters, you don't have the power that you need to engage an audience and to bring people into the dugout.
You haven't been in the army 5 minutes, have you?
To fall in love with these characters, to see something that you don't often see in film actually, which is a sort of tenderness and a camaraderie and a love between men.
I'm glad it's you and me together.
It brought the film into a different dimension. It's not a wham-bam, shoot-'em-up man movie. It absolutely is about the relationships between the men.
Robert, you're your son?
It makes people realise that in the dugout are not supermen, they're just ordinary men in super extraordinary circumstances, and one is a teacher and one is a salesman and one's a waiter. Now, these are just ordinary guys who have ended up in the army, and I think that absolutely brings a new and interesting perspective to a war film.
Yeah, as a historian, I thought it was a very authentic portrayal of life and death in the First World War. How difficult and challenging was it to get that level of authenticity?
We were in these trenches that were built, I think, to a 1916 specification, so absolutely the right size and built of the right materials and things. And that helped the actors get into the role.
One thing that's so important for the Commonwealth War Graves Commission in commemorating the men who lost their lives at this time is that so many of them were missing. We simply don't know what happened to them, and their names are on a memorial. And of course that comes into the plot very importantly during a trench raid that the British soldiers make on German lines. I thought that what came across really well was the chaotic nature of that fighting.
What we didn't do deliberately was see people falling over, dying, and then, as you might expect in a war film, a moment where one friend's tending another friend and they expire. That wasn't the reality. They didn't have time. They were shot, they just kept going. Setting off explosions that they didn't know when those explosions were going to happen. And you notice Raleigh, Asa Butterfield, do it jumping like this, and it's because he genuinely doesn't know when those explosions are coming. And we tried again to make it as real and to help the actors and to give it that sense of absolute mayhem, which is what I think it would have been like.
Of course, many of the visitors to our cemeteries and memorials really want to understand what the people that are buried or commemorated there went through. And I think by watching this film, they'll get a really vivid sense of the experiences of soldiers in the First World War.
I think that the headstones and the memorials that the Commonwealth Graves Commission looks after and what we have tried to do here complement each other perfectly. You often go to the trenches and then go on to see the memorials. I think it inspires people to want to know more. They can come and see the film and get that understanding. And equally, I hope that people who are coming to World War I for the first time, perhaps, actually seeing Journey's End, understanding what those men went through, and then realising that actually they can go to a place where it all happened and see the most incredible memorials, the most moving things that one can almost see in one's life. I think that's terribly exciting, and I think that Journey's End complements that perfectly. I don't mind why people come and see the film. If they come and see it because Sam Claflin's in it and they've loved him and me before you, terrific. If they come and see it because they have a genuine interest in World War I, brilliant. But I think what I want them all to experience is some understanding of the debt of gratitude. Thank God it wasn't us, is not going to be us now. But my God, what those guys went through.